Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. Seneca, pressure does not forge diamonds. Pressure reveals what is already broken. Most collapse. They seek escape in distractions, blame, or the fleeting comfort of self-deception. They tell themselves stories of unfairness, of insurmountable odds, of a world conspiring against them. These are the narratives of the weak, the anthems of those destined to be ruled. We are not them. We understand that pressure is not an external force, but an internal crucible. It does not create character, it exposes it. The anxieties you feel in the face of deadlines, the dread that simmers before a confrontation, the icy grip of fear when everything hangs in the balance, these are not signs of weakness. They are the signals that the forge is lit, the test has begun. What emerges from that fire depends entirely on what you choose to feed it. Will you offer up your courage, your discipline, your unwavering focus? Or will you throw in your excuses, your self-pity, your carefully constructed illusions of safety? The world offers no guarantees, no safe harbors. It is a relentless ocean of challenges, and those who navigate it successfully are not those who avoid the storms, but those who learn to master them. This mastery begins with a cold, unwavering assessment of your own capabilities, your own vulnerabilities. It demands a ruthless rejection of comforting lies and a steadfast commitment to the truth, however harsh. For it is only in the crucible of pressure that we can truly see ourselves, stripped bare of all pretenses, and understand what we are truly capable of becoming. Understand this: the pressure will not relent. It will not negotiate. It will simply expose. And in that exposure lies the opportunity to either break or to build, to crumble or to conquer. The choice, as always, is yours. The mind under duress performs a subtle but critical shift. It moves from being a vessel of possibility to a calculating machine of survival. Illusions of control evaporate. Grand strategies collapse into immediate tactics. The abstract future becomes a razor-thin present. This is not a failing, but an adaptation. Imagine a general surveying a battlefield from a distant hill. He sees the sweeping movements of armies, the grand arc of the campaign. But when that same general is thrown into the thick of the fighting, sword in hand, his world shrinks. He sees only the immediate threat, the next parry, the opening for a strike. His survival and the survival of those around him depends on this ruthless focus. The same principle applies to any mind under pressure. The weight of expectation, the fear of failure, the sheer intensity of the moment, these forces compress our awareness, forcing us to prioritize immediate, concrete actions over long-term, abstract goals. This can be a source of strength if properly channeled. It forces us to cut through the noise, to ignore distractions, to focus solely on what is essential. But it can also be a source of weakness if we allow fear and panic to dictate our actions. The key is to maintain a core of calm, a still point within the storm. This is not about suppressing emotion, but about regulating it. It is about acknowledging the fear, the anxiety, the doubt, but refusing to be controlled by them. It is about recognizing that these emotions are merely signals, indicators of potential danger, not definitive pronouncements of defeat. The Stoics understood this implicitly. They saw hardship not as an enemy to be avoided, but as an opportunity to be embraced, a crucible in which to forge strength and resilience. They understood that true freedom lies not in the absence of adversity, but in the ability to face it with equanimity, with courage, and with unwavering focus. This is not a passive acceptance of fate, but an active engagement with reality. It is about taking responsibility for our own thoughts, our own emotions, our own actions, regardless of the circumstances. It is about recognizing that we are not victims of circumstance, but agents of our own destiny. The ability to maintain clarity of thought under pressure is a skill that can be cultivated, a muscle that can be strengthened. It requires constant practice, constant self-reflection, and a willingness to confront our own weaknesses. It requires us to push ourselves beyond our comfort zones, to expose ourselves to challenging situations, to learn from our mistakes, and to emerge stronger and more resilient. This is not a journey for the faint of heart. It demands courage, discipline, and an unwavering commitment to self-improvement. But the rewards are immeasurable, for in mastering the art of pressure, we master ourselves. We become capable of facing any challenge, of overcoming any obstacle, of achieving any goal we set our minds to. We become, in essence, sovereign. Consider the chess player facing a seemingly impossible position. He is down material, his pieces are cramped, and his opponent is threatening checkmate. Panic would be a natural reaction, but the master player does not panic. He remains calm, calculating, searching for any possible advantage. He analyzes the position, identifies the key weaknesses in his opponent's defense, and formulates a plan. He may not win the game, but he will fight to the bitter end, exploiting every opportunity and testing his opponent's skill and resolve. This is the essence of resilience. It is not about avoiding defeat, but about refusing to be defeated. It is about maintaining our focus, our discipline, and our courage, even in the face of overwhelming odds. And it is about recognizing that even in defeat, there is an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to become stronger. The world is a constant test. It throws challenges at us from all sides, testing our limits, pushing us to our breaking points. But it is in these moments of pressure that we truly discover who we are, what we are capable of, and what we are willing to fight for. Embrace the pressure. Welcome the challenge. For it is in the crucible of adversity that we are forged into something stronger, something more resilient, something truly extraordinary. Now consider the case of the corporate raider, a figure who embodies the ruthless application of pressure in the business world. Imagine a CEO, complacent, enjoying the fruits of a long tenure, but whose company has become bloated and inefficient. The stock price stagnates, shareholders murmur, and the air is ripe for exploitation. The raider, a predator in a tailored suit, sees this weakness and begins to accumulate shares, quietly, methodically, like a spider spinning its web. He studies the company's vulnerabilities, the outdated technology, the bureaucratic layers, the underperforming divisions, and calculates his attack. He doesn't announce his intentions. He doesn't send friendly letters. He moves in the shadows, leveraging debt, forming alliances with disgruntled investors, and preparing his hostile takeover bid. The pressure begins subtly. Rumors circulate, analysts question the CEO's leadership, and the stock price begins to fluctuate wildly. The CEO dismisses it as market noise, a temporary blip, but the raider is relentless. He leaks information to the press, highlighting the company's shortcomings, fueling shareholder discontent, and driving the stock price lower. The CEO is forced to react, issuing defensive statements, promising restructuring plans, but his words ring hollow. The pressure intensifies. The raider launches his formal takeover bid, a public declaration of war. The CEO is caught off guard, scrambling to assemble a defense, hiring lawyers, investment bankers, and public relations firms. He tries to rally his employees, appealing to their loyalty, but the raider's message is more compelling. Higher profits, greater efficiency, a brighter future, albeit one without the current leadership. A proxy fight ensues, a battle for the hearts and minds of the shareholders. The CEO pleads for time, promising a turnaround, but the raider presents a compelling case for immediate action, a clear path to increased value. The pressure on the CEO becomes unbearable. He is besieged by lawyers, advisors, and reporters, each demanding his attention, each adding to the chaos. He is unable to sleep, unable to focus, his decision-making clouded by stress and fear. He makes missteps that further erode his credibility and strengthen the raider's position. The board of directors, sensing the impending defeat, begins to waver. They see the writing on the wall, the inevitable outcome, and start to distance themselves from the CEO. The raider exploits this division, offering them a way out, a graceful exit, a chance to salvage their reputations. The CEO is isolated, betrayed, his power slipping away. He is forced to negotiate, to concede, to accept the inevitable. He agrees to a merger, a sale, or a restructuring that leaves him stripped of his authority and his company in the hands of the raider. The corporate raider understood the psychology of pressure, the breaking point of individuals and organizations. He used it to his advantage. systematically dismantling his target, exploiting every weakness, and ultimately achieving his objective. He remained detached, calculating, and ruthless, never allowing emotion to cloud his judgment. He knew that in the world of high finance, only the strong survive, and that pressure is the ultimate weapon. His victory is not a cause for celebration, but a stark reminder of the forces at play, the cold, calculating logic that drives human action, the relentless pursuit of power and wealth. It is a lesson in the art of applying pressure, of understanding its effects, and of recognizing its presence in every aspect of human interaction. The collapse is rarely sudden, rarely a dramatic event. It is a slow, insidious erosion, a gradual weakening of resolve and a descent into a predictable pattern of failure. The pressure doesn't always manifest as overt threats or immediate crises. More often, it is the subtle accumulation of anxieties, the constant awareness of vulnerability, the gnawing fear of what might happen. This is the environment in which the weak are most easily trapped. They lack the internal fortitude to withstand the sustained assault on their composure. They crave reassurance, seek validation from external sources, and become increasingly susceptible to manipulation. Their judgment becomes impaired, their vision clouded by the fog of fear. They grasp at straws, make desperate attempts to regain control, and in doing so, only further entangle themselves in the web of their own making. The trap is not simply the external pressure itself, but the internal response to it. It is the panic, the self-doubt, the inability to think clearly and act decisively. It is the surrender of inner sovereignty, the abdication of responsibility for one's own fate. The weak seek to alleviate the pressure by seeking comfort in illusions, by denying the reality of their situation, by clinging to false hopes. They surround themselves with sycophants and yes-men, shielding themselves from dissenting voices and critical feedback. They become increasingly isolated, cut off from the information and perspectives that could help them navigate the crisis. They believe what they want to believe rather than what is true, and in doing so, they seal their own doom. They fail to understand that pressure, like any force, can be redirected, channeled, and even used to one's advantage. They see it only as a threat, an insurmountable obstacle, and they crumble beneath its weight. They forget that the greatest strength lies not in avoiding pressure, but in mastering it, in learning to thrive in its presence. They lack the discipline to maintain their composure under fire, the mental resilience to withstand the psychological warfare waged against them. They are easily distracted, their attention fragmented, their focus scattered. They chase after fleeting opportunities, react impulsively to every perceived threat, and fail to develop a coherent strategy. They are like ships without rudders, tossed about by the waves of circumstance, at the mercy of the prevailing winds. They succumb to the temptation of short-term gains, sacrificing long-term objectives for immediate relief. They compromise their principles, betray their allies, and erode their own integrity in a desperate attempt to survive. But survival at any cost is not true survival. It is merely a postponement of the inevitable, a slow, agonizing death of the spirit. The weak are ultimately consumed by their own fears, their own anxieties, their own weaknesses. They are the architects of their own destruction, the victims of their own self-sabotage. The pressure merely exposes what was already there, the underlying flaws in their character, the vulnerabilities in their armor. It is a test, a trial by fire, and they fail because they lack the necessary strength, the necessary resilience, the necessary wisdom. Their failure serves as a cautionary tale, a grim reminder of the consequences of weakness, the price of succumbing to pressure, the importance of cultivating inner strength and unwavering resolve. Their fate is not predetermined, but it is predictable. It is the natural consequence of a failure to adapt, a failure to learn, a failure to grow. They are the leaves that fall from the tree in autumn, carried away by the wind, destined to wither and decay. Their story is a testament to the power of pressure, the relentless force that shapes human destiny, the crucible in which character is forged and broken. The strong, however, recognize pressure as an opportunity. They understand that adversity is not a curse, but a catalyst. It is the forge in which their character is tempered, the crucible in which their resolve is tested and refined. They do not shy away from pressure, but embrace it, knowing that it is through struggle that they grow, through hardship that they become stronger, through adversity that they discover their true potential. They do not see pressure as a threat, but as a challenge, an obstacle to be overcome, a puzzle to be solved. They approach it with a clear mind, a steady hand, and an unwavering determination. They analyze the situation, identify the key variables, and develop a strategy to exploit the weaknesses of their opponents. They are masters of deception, adept at concealing their true intentions, manipulating the perceptions of others, and turning the pressure back on those who seek to control them. They understand that information is power, and they gather intelligence meticulously, seeking to understand the motivations, the vulnerabilities, and the weaknesses of their adversaries. They use this information to their advantage, anticipating their moves, countering their strategies, and ultimately outmaneuvering them. They are not afraid to take risks, but they calculate those risks carefully, weighing the potential rewards against the potential consequences. They understand that inaction is often more dangerous than action, that indecision can be fatal, and that the greatest risk is often the risk of doing nothing. They are decisive, resolute, and unwavering in their pursuit of their goals, even in the face of overwhelming odds. They do not allow themselves to be swayed by emotions, by fears, or by doubts. They remain focused on their objectives, impervious to distractions, and immune to the pressures of the moment. They are masters of self-control, able to regulate their emotions, manage their stress, and maintain their composure under the most trying circumstances. They understand that their mental state is their most valuable asset, and they protect it fiercely, guarding against negativity, cultivating optimism, and nurturing a sense of inner peace. They are resilient, adaptable, and resourceful, able to bounce back from setbacks, learn from their mistakes, and adapt to changing circumstances. They do not allow failures to define them, but use them as opportunities for growth, as lessons to be learned, as stepping stones to future success. They understand that the path to power is not a straight line, but a winding road filled with obstacles, challenges, and setbacks. They are prepared to persevere, to endure, to overcome, knowing that the rewards are well worth the effort. They are not driven by ego, by vanity, or by the need for external validation. They are driven by a deep sense of purpose, by a burning desire to achieve their goals, by an unwavering commitment to their vision. They are the architects of their own destiny, the masters of their own fate, the authors of their own success. They use pressure to their advantage, transforming it into a source of strength, a catalyst for growth, and a weapon against their enemies. They are the survivors, the thrivers, the victors. They are the ones who rise to the top, who shape the world to their will, who leave their mark on history. Their story is a testament to the power of resilience, the importance of adaptability, and the transformative potential of pressure. It is a lesson in survival, a guide to success, and a blueprint for power. They do not break under pressure, they break the pressure itself. They are not merely survivors, they are conquerors. They understand that the game of power is a relentless struggle, a constant test of will, a perpetual battle for dominance. They are prepared to fight, to strategize, to manipulate, to do whatever it takes to win. They are not bound by conventional morality, by societal norms, or by ethical considerations. They operate according to a different set of rules, a code of conduct that prioritizes results over principles, effectiveness over ethics, and power over everything else. They are Machiavellians, pragmatists, and realists. They see the world as it is, not as it should be. They understand that the pursuit of power is a ruthless game, and they are willing to play it to the fullest. They are not sentimental, emotional, or compassionate. They are calculating, strategic, and ruthless. They see people as pieces on a chessboard, as instruments to be used, as obstacles to be overcome. They manipulate their emotions, exploit their weaknesses, and use them for their own purposes. They are masters of deception, adept at concealing their true intentions, feigning empathy, and creating false narratives. They understand that trust is a valuable commodity, and they use it sparingly, only when it serves their interests. They are skeptical, cynical, and distrustful of others, always looking for hidden motives, ulterior agendas, and potential betrayals. They are constantly assessing the power dynamics in every situation, identifying the key players and determining how to best leverage their influence. They are masters of persuasion, able to convince others to do their bidding, to support their causes, and to follow their lead. They use a variety of techniques, including flattery, coercion, manipulation, and appeals to self-interest. They understand that people are motivated by different things, and they tailor their approach accordingly. They are relentless in their pursuit of power, never satisfied with their current position, always striving for more. They are ambitious, driven, and determined to reach the top, no matter the cost. They are willing to sacrifice everything, their relationships, their principles, their happiness, for the sake of power. They are consumed by their ambition, obsessed with their goals, and driven by a relentless desire to dominate. They are the masters of their own destiny, the architects of their own success, and the rulers of their own domain. The minds that thrive under pressure are not simply strong, they are cunning. They are not just resilient, they are resourceful. They do not merely adapt, they dominate. The ability to thrive under pressure is not an innate gift, but a meticulously crafted skill, honed through relentless self-awareness and strategic adaptation. It requires a deep understanding of human psychology, a keen eye for opportunity, and an unwavering commitment to one's goals. Such individuals cultivate a detachment from emotional reactivity, viewing situations with cold, calculated objectivity. They recognize that fear, anxiety, and doubt are liabilities, and they actively suppress these emotions, replacing them with resolve, focus, and a strategic mindset. They understand that perception is malleable, and they actively shape the narrative to their advantage, influencing the opinions and actions of those around them. This is not about brute force, but about intellectual leverage. It is about using information as a weapon, exploiting vulnerabilities, and manipulating expectations. The master of pressure understands that control is an illusion, but influence is a reality. They do not seek to dictate outcomes, but to guide them subtly, orchestrating events from behind the scenes. They are adept at identifying the pressure points of individuals and systems, knowing where to apply force to achieve the desired result. They are masters of timing, knowing when to act decisively and when to remain patient, waiting for the opportune moment. They understand that information is power, and they are constantly gathering intelligence, analyzing data, and anticipating future developments. They are skilled at deception, able to conceal their true intentions, mislead their opponents, and create false impressions. They use misdirection, ambiguity, and carefully crafted lies to achieve their goals. They understand that trust is a vulnerability, and they exploit it ruthlessly, using it to gain access, gather information, and manipulate others. They are not afraid to betray trust, break promises, or abandon alliances if it serves their interests. Their loyalty is only to themselves and their ambitions. They are masters of self-control, able to maintain composure under even the most intense pressure. They do not allow emotions to cloud their judgment or compromise their decisions. They are calm, collected, and focused, even in the face of chaos. They are masters of adaptation, able to adjust their strategies and tactics to changing circumstances. They are flexible, agile, and resilient, able to bounce back from setbacks and learn from their mistakes. They are masters of resourcefulness, able to make the most of limited resources and overcome obstacles with ingenuity and determination. They are skilled at improvisation, able to think on their feet and come up with creative solutions to unexpected problems. They see challenges not as roadblocks, but as opportunities to prove their worth and demonstrate their abilities. The mind that excels under duress is not defined by its inherent capabilities, but by its cultivated strategies. This is a